Welcome back to Dinar today, and I'm grateful you're here because we need to have a very serious, grounded conversation about the numbers that are absolutely dominating this community right now. Specifically, the projections of $4.48 for the Iraqi Dinar and $3.67 for the Vietnamese Dong. Now, before we go any further, understand that this is not financial advice, and I'm not here to sell you hype. I'm here to offer clarity in a space that is overwhelmingly filled with noise, because if you have been holding these currencies for any significant length of time, whether it's 5 years or 15 years, I know you're exhausted. You're tired of the rumors, tired of the this weekend predictions that never come true, and tired of feeling like you're waiting for a train that never arrives. That exhaustion is real, and it is valid. But today I want to argue that the reason for that exhaustion is that many of us have been looking at this investment entirely wrong from day one. We were sold an event, an overnight lottery ticket where we wake up rich. But the reality of what is happening in Iraq and Vietnam is not an event. It is an agonizingly slow, deeply complex geopolitical and economic process. When we look at those massive numbers like $4.48 for the dinar, we must understand that this is not a random figure pulled out of thin air, nor is it the current rate. It is a calculation based on Iraq's immense oil reserves, its gold holdings, and its potential GDP if it were a fully functioning, stable economy like its neighbor Kuwait. Iraq has the assets of a wealthy nation, but the currency value of a collapsed one, and that gap is the opportunity. Similarly, for Vietnam, the $3.67 figure reflects what the dong could be worth if it stopped artificially suppressing its currency to boost exports and instead let its value reflect its massive growth as the new manufacturing hub of Southeast Asia. The fundamental economic reality is that both these currencies are significantly undervalued relative to the actual wealth and production capacity of their nations. However, and this is the crucial part that separates hype from reality, you cannot simply take a currency like the dinar, which is pegged around 1,310 to the dollar, and flip a switch overnight to make it $4.48 without causing absolute economic chaos, hyperinflation, and capital flight. The financial plumbing has to be built first to handle that kind of pressure. This is why serious analysts like Frank 26 and others who focus on the fundamentals keep pointing toward the 2025 and 2026 timeline. It is not because they have a crystal ball or a secret sauce. It is because when you look at the publicly available schedules for Iraq's banking reforms, their WTO accession milestones, their integration with international electronic payment systems, and their diversification away from pure oil dependence, all of these massive infrastructure projects have completion timelines that converge in that 2025 to 2026 window. It isn't magic. It's a construction schedule. We have to shift our mindset from waiting for a miracle to watching the architecture being built. 5 or 10 years ago, we didn't have the concrete evidence we have today. Back then, Iraq's banking system was isolated, sanctioned, and riddled with corruption. But today we are seeing them implement the US Treasury's electronic tracking systems. We are seeing them connect with major international correspondent banks like JP Morgan, and we are seeing them aggressively purge corrupt local banks that facilitate money laundering. These are not rumors. These are documented, painful, necessary steps that prove they are preparing the foundation for a sovereign, internationally traded currency. So what does this mean for us right now? It means we must prepare for stepping stones rather than a single giant leap. It is far more likely that we will see the Central Bank of Iraq eventually move to a managed float or widen the currency band, perhaps that 25% range that is often discussed, allowing the dinar to appreciate gradually in a controlled environment to test the system's stability before moving higher. Seeing small, stable, confirmed movements is actually infinitely healthier and more believable than expecting overnight massive wealth. The danger right now is letting impatience dictate your life decisions. Do not quit your job, do not stop paying your bills, and do not make financial commitments based on money you do not have yet, because even when this process reaches its conclusion, the exchange process itself will likely be complex, regulated, and phased over time. The difference between those who burn out and those who see this through is mindset. If you're waiting for an event, every day nothing happens feels like a failure. But if you're watching the process, you see that every banking reform, every new trade agreement, And every anti-corruption measure is a brick being laid in the foundation of the future value.